What do the dentist and the gas dock have in common? Those are two places you don't really want to visit. Stick around to find out how to save fuel in your boat on today's video. Hi, I'm Sean from Cove Lessons in Boating, and on today's video we're going to talk all about fuel saving tips. Boating is not inexpensive, so how are we going to make it more affordable? One of those ways could be saving a little bit of money on fuel, and there are some tips that won't dramatically save money, but these are all things that you can do easily. Individually only save a little bit of fuel, but totally, when combined, can save you thousands of dollars over the course of your boating lifetime. Tip number 1, keep your engine in top running condition. This one's probably obvious, but if your engine is down on power for any reason because there's a fuel contamination issue, your ignition isn't working properly, or your compression is low, you are going to suffer from poor performance and also poor fuel economy. So as per your manufacturer's recommendations, make sure you're changing out your spark plugs, having your ignition tuned up, and making sure you're changing out your fuel filter on a regular basis to make sure your engine is running smoothly and properly. Also, you're going to want to check your air cleaner and make sure it's not full of debris or even pet hair if you have pets on the boat. It's amazing how much will get up into that filter. Going along with how an engine works, you're going to want to make sure you reduce carbon buildup inside the combustion chamber. Carbon comes from excessive idling, and we do a lot of idling in our boat. So whether we're going in narrow canals, or we're going to or from the ramp, or just out touring around, trolling, or doing various activities, when you look at a computer breakdown of how many hours are at each RPM range, almost every single time you'll see that the most hours are from 0 to 1,000 or on idle. So make sure every once in a while you're getting your boat up to wide open throttle so that you can get the engine temperature up nice and hot, which will clear out that carbon. And if you do a lot of idling, you may want to add in a fuel additive like a quick clean from Mercury or Yamaha's version that will actually help clean out that carbon and keep your engine running smoothly. Number 2, the right prop and the prop in good condition. So if you want to know more about prop pitching, check out this video here. But essentially think about it like as you're riding your bicycle. If you have a 10-speed bike and you put it in 10th gear, you will in theory go further every time you pedal the bike. However, as you know, every time you push it, it's a lot harder. Well, the same is true in your boat. If you have too large a pitch of a prop for your boat and engine combination, it will be working harder on every revolution and use more fuel, just like you use more energy when you ride a bike in too large a gear. Also, if your prop is damaged, for every revolution you're pushing less water, besides the fact it's going to be noisy and have extra vibration. So make sure your prop is correct and that it's in good repair. Number 3, underpowering your boat. If you're buying a boat and you're shopping for one, make sure it's powered correctly. If it's underpowered, people will try to sell it to you as a fuel savings. However, a more fuel efficient engine, smaller, will have to work harder in order to get a larger boat on plane and keep it at the proper speed. So it will be working harder than a properly sized engine, which will produce enough power that you can then bring the RPMs down and run the engine not quite as intensely. Number 4, engine height. Particularly this is true on your outboard. So if you have an outboard power boat and the engine is mounted too low, it will produce extra drag. So if you picture your boat with the cavitation or anti-ventilation plate, it should be relatively parallel with the bottom running edge of the boat. If it's well below that, you'll get a lot of spray up, and that spray is coming because the water at speed is hitting the lower unit and spraying up at the back of the boat, and that is really just extra drag, which is slowing you down and using extra fuel. Next up, we have make sure your hull is clean. If you're in salt water, then definitely making sure that every couple months you're pulling your boat out of the water and cleaning it from barnacles and other marine aquatic life. And if you're in fresh water, you're going to want to make sure that at least annually it's being removed from the water and having all the algae and growth removed from the bottom of the boat. It doesn't look like much, but it's amazing how much extra drag that causes. Next up is how you use it. If you do jackrabbit starts, you know what this is like in your car when you come off quick on the lights. You will definitely use more fuel. So make sure you accelerate and come up onto plane gently and smoothly. The same is true when you come off plane. If you come on and off plane in a gentle manner, you're going to definitely use less fuel. Also, when you're running the boat on plane, you're going to want to make sure you find out what your ideal cruise speed is. Some engine manufacturers will publish that data, some boat manufacturers will, but typically speaking, it's somewhere in the 3,000 to 3,500 RPM range. And in most boats, that's going to be in the high 20 to low 30 mile an hour range. And you'll see that most fuel usage charts will be very quick to come up and then will level off at that ideal cruise and then rise again when you get up towards wide open throttle. So if you're constantly running it wide open, you're going to use a lot more fuel than if you back off and find that ideal cruise. You'll be able to go a lot further between fill-ups and you'll be able to do long distances much more safely. Extra weight. Do you really need 10 chairs on board? 10 fenders, or can you do with 4 and 4? So getting rid of any extra gear is definitely going to save you some money on fuel. Is your water tank on board always full and you're really not using it? Could you empty it and then only fill it when you need it? And should you run with a full tank of fuel, or are you okay to run more like with half? Depending on how you use your boat, you may be able to cut down on some extra weight in the boat and be able to save at the pumps. Trim position. If you want to know more about how to trim your boat, check out this video here. But essentially, every time you trim your outboard or stern drive power boat up, you will pivot the back end or the stern down and lift the bow of the boat, which will reduce the wetted surface and reduce drag. So you'll find that as you're using a certain throttle position, by using a little trim up, you'll find the bow raises, the boat smooths out, and your speed increases, which then essentially for any given throttle position, you'll be using less fuel. When you trim back down, you'll notice that the bow digs in, the spray increases, and your speed drops. So for that given throttle position, you'll be using more fuel. None of these will save you a ton of money individually, but when you put them all together, they definitely will save you significant money at the pumps over the lifetime of your boating. One of the great advantages of newer boats today is that they will often have fuel consumption meters in them. Whether they're standalone units, like this Yamaha one, or they are integrated into a larger digital display like on the Simrad unit. A lot of newer engines will come with a gallon per hour or a fuel flow meter so that you can really dial in your fuel usage. It's a great way for you to be able to maximize your time on the water, save at the pumps, and also give you a smoother, quieter ride, as this optimal fuel usage speed will also often be something that comes with lower vibration and lower noise in the boat at the same time. Thanks for joining us on today's Cove Lessons in Boating. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like this video and subscribe for more. I hope you have fun out there, and we'll see you out on the water.